Yeah, boys, it's currently 11:43 p.m. I don't have school right now. I don't really have much of anything going on right now, so I was just like, hey, like, now it seems like a pretty good time to go get some more braking miles. If it's raining during the day, this is the best option I got right now. Should probably also mention that there's no license plate and there's a cop sitting right over there. I have a plan for the plate, okay? Like, you guys are gonna have to bear with me on this. Since I live in an apartment, I don't really have like a good garage setup, and so I don't have any like collection of bolts or anything like I used to at my parents' house. So I don't have any bolts. The dealership didn't give me any bolts to put the plate on. So I need to go to where my other bikes are at a storage unit and go probably grab some bolts off of them. I gotta like MacGyver this. So yeah, I'm gonna have to ride this bike without a plate for a little bit as I make my way over there and pass this cop that's sitting right there. Go ask him for a selfie. Be like, hey bro, I don't have a plate right now. I got insurance. I'm registered. I'm fully legal in every regard other than the fact I don't have 2 little bolts to put my license plate on. Crazy. I have 5 motorcycles, but I don't own 2 bolts to put a license plate on. I gotta go borrow it from another bike. It's so stupid. So I get this is not really going to be like any of my other vlogs, but I just figured I'd bring you guys along for the journey just because this is a brand new bike, Yamaha R9, documenting the braking mileage. So we're working on that. Okay. I'm sorry to wake you guys, but I need to borrow something real quick. R6 H2 V. I think I'm gonna rip it off the H2. I just filmed a camping video with the H2. Things kind of got a little out of order. Okay, no more H2 plate. Say hello to the R9 plate. I swear, like, you guys know motorcyclists have like it's the stereotype, like, oh, officer, it fell off, I don't know what happened to it. I swear, I'm always having some sort of problem with my license plate. It is not a problem that I find, it's just kind of a problem that ends up finding me. But hey, at least now I can enjoy my nice legal Yamaha R9 without the cops harassing me. Dude, there's a little biker squad over here. Oh my god, they're so cute. Oh my god, look at them go. Oh, they're pulling in over here. Ah, shoot, dude. Now it look weird if I'm chasing them. Okay, well, I'll just leave them be. These night rides tend to be kind of a little bit lonely. The advantage to that, especially on a new bike, is it allows me to kind of feel the bike. Let me hear the bike. Let me get used to all the sounds and the little noises and the things and the characteristics about it. The only problem with this being a brand new bike, Euro 5 compliant, is there's not many noises to hear. But every single motorcycle I've owned has some relation, some story that it means to me. There's something about every bike that I own that kind of sticks out. The R6 to me, even though that bike doesn't even have 1,000 miles on it yet, it already has history that goes back 5 years for me. I was drooling over my friend's Yamaha R6. It was just sitting there. Every time we met up, I would look at it and be like, wow, that is the coolest bike of all time. And I remember sitting there riding my old FZ09, the first generation 2014 model that I owned, and thinking, wow, this engine would be so much better with an aluminum frame, or at least like a better frame, better suspension made to handle the engine. Wow, hey, there's another biker. I don't think we're activating this late. It's surreal that this bike actually made it to production, dude. 5 years since the R6 was discontinued and we're sitting here with this bike. Oh my god, Yamaha took their time with this thing. And the end result is something akin to basically an MT-09 with fairings. I had a friend of mine, the same friend who owned that Yamaha R6 a few years ago that I just mentioned. He was talking to me how he was defending this bike in a group chat. How it's not just an MT-09 with fairings. And dude, I hate to be that guy. It kind of is an MT-09 with fairings, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, like, they gave it a newer frame. They updated the frame a little bit, which is a good thing. I could feel like it's a good sport bike. That's not a bad thing that it's basically an MT-09 with fairings. The MT-09 is a good bike in its current state, especially for the price, dude. This thing is awesome. And this is a good sport bike. It just has the unfortunate fact that this bike is coming after the R6. Oh, this thing outshines the R6 in so many ways, though. Cruise control, dude, the throttle is so good. It's very video gamey, sure, but sometimes when you own multiple bikes, it's nice to have a bike that just does exactly what you want it to do. And for most people, I would guess, if motorcycling isn't like your main hobby, this is a bike that's going to be super easy to control. Of course, I'm going to bring up the old BMW. I don't miss that bike. I think I just miss the way that it made me feel. That bike was an empty, soulless, braking all the time piece of garbage from a dealership that didn't care at all. But whenever I rode my old BMW, I rode that thing hard because it was easy. It was easy to ride it hard. BMW makes a bike that, like, you could hop on a 1000cc bike and ride it like a supermoto. Even if you're someone like me that completely lacks the skill. I lacked the skill. I didn't have the skill capacity to be able to handle a 1000cc bike, and I still don't. That bike tricked me into thinking that I could, because it made everything easy. It made wheelies easy. It made cornering easy. It does everything for you. That's why it's the influencer bike. That's why you see all these kids buy S1000RRs and they think that they're God. I was one of them. And you don't know it because your ego won't allow you to realize that. And so through the winter and through this early spring, as I've been riding my V4, my H2, my R6, all these different bikes, it made me miss the S1000 because it made me feel like a god. The problem is I was doing wheelies on that thing at 100 plus and doing, like, I shouldn't be doing those things. Even though it made me feel like a god, I wasn't a god. I'm invincible. You know, I'm made of meat, flesh. Jesus Christ, I see a car coming. We gotta go. We gotta move. I see a car coming. Go, 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 go. If it's this late, it's probably a cop. It's such a cool setup, and I'm like, oh, cop. Man with no criminal record sees cop. Run, 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 run. I don't even think he pulled over here. Well, for nothing. All this is related to this bike. I went into this bike with, albeit low expectations. I had the expectations that I wanted this bike to be like a mini S1000RR. A lot of the reviewers, albeit glazing this bike, they were saying the throttle was smooth, and that's all I cared about. I don't care if it's a good track bike. I don't care if the brakes kind of suck. I just wanted a smooth throttle, because that's the one thing you can't fix on a bike. And you know what? I got it. This bike has one of the smoothest throttles in the game, and I'm happy. I have my mini S1000RR. I don't have to go do wheelies at 100 miles an hour because I have this. Oh, it makes me happy. I like this bike. I don't have to risk my life anymore. Well, I mean, okay, wheelies are, albeit a bit risky, but you don't hear of someone dying from a wheelie more so than you hear of people dying when they smash into a car at 160 miles an hour. I've lived that life. I've been there. No more. No, I don't want to do that stuff anymore. There was something that I saw lately that it was like a TikTok comment or something. I don't even think it was on my own page. I was just like scrolling through TikTok reading somebody else's comments. But it was like a little hate comment being like, oh, you and your little road jet skis. And I was like, I felt taken aback. Someone called our machines, the things that we love and cherish, he dumbed it down to road jet skis. Oh man, wait, I could actually do a little video here. I have an idea. You guys heard of Skibbity recycling bin? I have here Skibbity shopping cart. I'll spare you guys the details on that one. I filmed a little video in the shopping cart. Listen, it had good intentions. We had good intentions with the shopping cart, but I'm going to spare YouTube on those details. If you want to see it, it'll probably be up on TikTok at some point. I don't know when, but probably somewhat eventually, maybe. I had a thought explaining a hate comment, and then I made a TikTok about an ADHD biker, and then didn't finish my thought because I was too busy talking about the ADHD biker. All right, let me stop here. So the comment was something like, oh, motorcycles are just like road jet skis. Your little road jet skis. And I was just like, I took that comment to heart, bro. I don't even think it was a comment left on my video, but I was just like, is that really what people think about my hobby? Is that what people think about at least one of my hobbies? My top number one hobby, the thing that I love and kind of have spent a good majority of my life doing. Someone just dumbed it down all the way down to road jet skis. That's how he views this. He just looks at it like it's a little jet ski with wheels. That hurt my feelings, bro. I'm not gonna lie with you. Because whenever I think of a jet ski, like, I guess maybe I'm just not that into jet skis. Maybe that's it. I don't know enough about jet skis, but like to me, and I think the majority of people, jet skis are just kind of like this like whatever thing. You know, you buy a jet ski, you ride it for maybe one time out of a year, and then you put it away and never touch it again. It's like, it's a singular purpose. You need a truck in order to transport a jet ski from one place to another. And when I think about motorcycles, I'm like, yeah, you can kind of look at a sport bike that way. A sport bike is a little bit more singular purpose, but you have motorcycles that go like super far, and like you have touring bikes. You have people that ride motorcycles across the entire country during the summer. I feel like it's a little bit different. Perhaps it's just them looking at the sport bikes and they think it's like, oh, it's just a little road jet ski. I don't know. I just felt so offended. I'm like, that's what you think our hobby is? I could ride this across the country, maybe not comfortably, but like people better than me have done it. These bikes, they have more soul. You would think, I guess, than a jet ski. I don't know. I guess I'm preaching to the choir on this channel, but that was just a crazy comment. To me, motorcycles are the equivalent or almost the evolution of cars. Like this bike redlines at 10,500 RPM. That is low for a motorcycle. That is an extremely low red line for a motorcycle. Normal ones rev up to 14. Like, that's great. On a car, you need to spend like $1 million to get that. I just imagine motorcycles being the future for like people who are really into engines. Cars just get more expensive and bikes become the solution to that. That's just how I've always viewed it. If you see me move the bike side to side, you can see there's a little hole where the LED is not hitting. And then so I was like, okay, I'm gonna turn on my brights or my headlight. Does nothing. It lights up the trees, which I suppose is what a high beam is supposed to do, but it's just like, I I feel disappointed. I wanted to come here with cool photo, but every car I seem to run into tonight just seems to be a cop. You guys don't understand what it's like to live in Ohio, bro. The cops out here are crazy. It's not their choice. It's not an individual's problem. It's the way that Ohio is set up. It's something to do with the fact that, like, historically there was like a lot of municipalities around here. There's a lot of small villages, and the byproduct of that is in the modern day, a lot of those villages remain. And a lot of those villages have their own police departments, but don't really have the money to fund them. And so the real solution to it would be to combine a bunch of cities and municipalities together, so that way they can form one big mega city, kind of like how cities exist in every other state in the country. We're talking like these little tiny villages, dude. Like they're so small. They should not have their own police force, but somehow they do. You know why? Because they fund it with tickets. They have traffic tickets and they just hand them out like candy. A lot of Ohio police departments have been getting in trouble because they're using like cameras now to give out speeding tickets. It's a really scummy move, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of cops will probably agree with me too. A lot of them just like, dude, they're just doing their job. You know what I mean? They signed up to be a cop to like solve crimes and help people, I assume. I'm sure there's a few bad apples out there, but in fact I know there's a few bad apples out there. I've had run-ins with them. It's still, I don't let that taint my view of the entire police industry, not industry, whatever you call it, because I've met a lot of few good guys too. There's kids I knew growing up that grew up to become cops, and I remember them being nice and kind and young, good people, and they grow up to be cops and hand out people speeding tickets. You gotta understand, like the cops handing out the tickets, that's not what they want to do. They would rather be out there, I'm assuming, solving crimes and doing the things that you help people. Some cops though, yeah, obviously bad. Alright, let's get you up here. I just wanted to come up here for a little photo or something, a little photo op. That's kind of what I've been doing with the R9 tonight, because I figured I won't have a chance to probably have it out on a night rip like this for quite a little bit, or at least an excuse to have it out on a nice little night rip like tonight. That's the thing with break-ins, dude. Break-in services, I like riding a bike during break-in. It forces me to just ride the bike when I normally wouldn't. Like if this bike was fully broken in, I would have no reason to go out riding tonight other than, I guess, just enjoying a ride. But now I have like a brand new bike, a bike that just came out that no one else has really gotten to ride yet. I'm like, of course I'm gonna be out ripping this thing, dude. Why wouldn't I? So this is something that got cut out of my R9 like reveal video when I was talking about it. You guys couldn't really hear it because the mic was like so stifled, but I had to cut it out because the microphone got destroyed. But check out this rear brake. That is full force of the rear brake, dude. It is doing nothing for stopping power. I think I did a really good job adequately explaining why Yamaha brakes are just bad. The calipers and the lines themselves are good. Like all the expensive stuff, all the expensive hardware that Yamaha puts on these bikes is really good. But the stock pads, I don't know what it is about Yamahas, dude. Full power of the rear brake. Okay, let's get at a higher speed. Full power rear brake. Come on. I get it, rear brakes are not supposed to be good in the first place, but this one is just exceptional. Like, it feels like it's doing nothing. Like, let's get it to like a decent high-ish speed here. Maybe I'm being too easy on it. Full power, nothing. I get it. MSF nerds in the comments are gonna be like, oh, you shouldn't be using your rear brake for that anyway, but I hear you. I get it. I trust me, I use my front brake for everything. I'm just like, it's comically, the rear brake on this bike compared to other motorcycles that I own is comically bad. It literally feels like I'm pushing on like a stuffed animal, bro. Like, it's nothing. Again, hey, not a dig on the bike. You could swap out pads for relatively cheap. That's not the end of the world. It's just a little tiny hilarious quirk about this bike. The rear brake is literally the worst rear brake I think I've ever felt on any motorcycle of all time ever. So what I personally think is the best example of that, like S1000 double, I'm gonna slow down here so I can show you guys. There's no one behind me. Like, we're fine. We're safe. Okay, so first to second is a shift that a lot of motorcycles hate, especially my R6. My R6 hates first to second. Watch this, dude. Just like slowly accelerating. There's a little hiccup there, but that's compared to my other bikes, it's fine. But then watch the second to third. Slow acceleration. Perfect. That is a big deal on a bike. Because there's a lot of sport bikes that I've ridden, especially. I'm calling back to my R6, because my R6 has the factory quick shifter from Yamaha on it. It hates first to second. Like, it'll straight up just like shake the whole bike when it tries to do it. And that was like a bad example of first to second. Let's try doing that again. Like this time with a little bit more acceleration. It's perfectly smooth, just like second to third. Like, obviously on my R6, when you're like full throttle, full beans, like it's gonna shift smooth, but the fact that this bike could do it at like low speeds when slow acceleration, barely even accelerating at all, fine. That makes this bike 10 times more rideable. It's so smooth. Do you guys think it's going to explode if I put Sheets gas in it? I'm sure there's going to be some people in my comments who are going to be like, yeah, dude, that thing's cooked. 4.2. That's kind of expensive. We made it to 2 a.m., dude. Out on the Yamaha R9. Supposed to rain all day tomorrow, too, so it's like not like I got much going on. Just kind of biding my time until the track day. This thing has a fuel gauge. This thing has a fuel gauge. It's so awesome. There we go. About 2 gallons. Dude, only 2 gallons in 100 miles? That is 50 miles to the gallon. I'm actually amazed. A little over 100 miles too. I mean, again, I get we're not ripping. 50 miles to the gallon on the 2025 Yamaha R9. She's pretty good on gas compared to the R6. Again, mileage may vary depending on how hard you're ripping, but call me thoroughly impressed. I like that. If you're ever in a pinch, you know you can trust the R9 to at least get you out of it. And look at this, a little ZX6R action going on end of my night before I go home. The main competitor to the Yamaha R9. This is last year's ZX6R, but still, they're still making this thing to this day. 2 white competing sport bikes. This dude doesn't even have an exhaust on his bike. He ripped that sucker right off. We made it, boys. It's 3 a.m. Oh my goodness. The things I do for content for you guys, I'm joking. I wasn't even gonna film tonight. I just felt like I wanted someone to talk to, and it was just like, yeah, I was listening to some music in between and just kind of vibing, but I also had some thoughts I wanted to get out that I feel like I won't have another couple days to get it out, so I just wanted to get it out there. I was like 3 hours of riding, only 120 miles. Dude, I have so much work to do. It's so much harder breaking in a middleweight bike compared to a 1000cc bike because you're kind of like relegated to like side roads. A 1000cc bike, you can just break it on the highway and just kind of like cruise around and get that break-in done instantaneously. These middleweights require a bit more work. Anyway, that's been my night rip on a 2025 Yamaha R9. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye 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 bye. I'm going to bed.